Hello everybody, I am SerenaAurora. If you haven't ever been here before, please like, subscribe, hit the bell, comment, do all those things so that the algorithm can pick up on me. I am coming in today to talk about the divine feminine. I know that there's a lot of things that get thrown around in the spiritual community and it kind of can be confusing. I've been, doing this for a while so that I think that I can come to a good assumption of what the divine feminine means and what spirit has kind of let me know what it means over, my spiritual journey. Now, this has to do with the collective, and I also want to preface this with that the divine feminine is very, very, very far from where we once were as a civilization. At one time, the divine feminine did not need a man to even procreate. So this is, when we think of the woman now, we're trying to somehow, we are doing it in a different way because it is a different age and time. And with that being said, there's different issues and things that come up in this modern day age that may not have come in that bandwidth of energy. So when I think of the divine feminine, and this is, and I meditate on it, or anytime that I work with clients, most of the time when I first start working with a goddess, she is usually in a bad place. She's usually coming from a place of ego, of expectation, judgment, and something has not been filled for her within her expectations. So she's either has her heart broken or someone has not treated her the way that she feels is just, in some form or another, she's not at her full capacity. Very rarely do I come across a goddess who comes to me for guidance over a period of time that has actually evolved into a more mature, strong place. And we have both masculine and feminine energies within all of us. So sometimes we can have one overriding the other. Sometimes we have one that's deficient and one that is overactive, and we have to try to find that balance within us. The feminine energy is always going to be that nurturing, that intuition energy that is, so it is consciousness that is responsible for nurturing, intuition, and empathy. The aspect of self-associated with creation, intuition, community, sensuality, and collaboration. This energy or consciousness is available to anyone. The feminine and masculine energies are tools. So the masculine energy has to do about protection and action and moving forward. It has to do about implementation of the things that they learn. So it's about in itself action. And if you can apply that to anything that requires movement in this life, that is what it's about. They are our protectors. They are our protectors. And if you have been listening to any of the beautiful podcasts and things that people have been coming out about these things, they really do hit the nail on the head when they say that the men are not protecting the women as they once did. And when I say as they once did, I'm talking about, and this is a whole other topic. So when I say this, I don't know if I have time to do that in this video, but this is about like Adam and Eve time. We weren't treating women right in the 50s, the 40s, the 30s, the 20s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and still now. We're still trying to get to a place that keeps getting farther and farther away from what the feminine energy once was. It was a place of matriarch, and it was held with reverence. It was the vessel of life and creation. And again, like I said, a lot of the things that we've been taught what a woman isn't what a woman was. So by developing both aspects inside of you, it will build stronger relationships with others and yourself. So this is why when I say you need to move into your divine feminine energy, or we have the age of the divine feminine coming back, it's because it helps you and it does help others within your relationships. when a goddess enters my life to work with me, I do see a huge growth in self-love and respect. So again, the bare minimum is respect. I mean, that's not the biggest thing that someone can give you. Now, the underdeveloped divine feminine, what I've learned through the tarot and what I've learned with working with women when I was working in retail or working in the spiritual community, because I will tell you that the spiritual community has just as many disillusioned people as there is in retail. And we still have a lot of people who are underdeveloped, whether it's emotionally or mentally, physically and spiritually, just as much. And it's what it has, I've seen normally, is that we have the older generation. So we have the boomers who are were never shown warm love in the right way. Not all of them, but most of them were not shown that. They were having that pull up your bootstraps, get up and go. We don't have time for crying or showing emotion. And then we have the ones that came a little bit later. And I would say that the 60s and 70s, even 80s, have a very disillusioned idea of what spirituality is and what a goddess is. And then we have also a couple other groups that think that just psychedelics are spirituality. And I'm not judging on anybody's path. They can do whatever they want. That's their journey or whatever. But again, the divine feminine is very separate from those things. It is not something that we can grab outside of us. It's not going to be found in crystals and incense and magic. It's not going to be found in herbs. It's not going to be found in yoga. It's not going to be found in Reiki or tarot. The divine feminine is a sovereign space. It's a sovereign energy that doesn't really need to be relied, or they don't really need to rely on something in order to produce something or create something. It just is. So again, the underdeveloped divine feminine. I've wrote down some things about the developed and the underdeveloped to kind of give you a differentiate. So cutthroat mentality, that real cunning energy, that real protective energy that needs to defend itself. Oh, don't knock that over. You sneaky little bugger. Anyways, cutthroat mentality, not good. People who want to constantly debate and argue. It's that throwing people under the bus, using words to hurt people, using words to mentally manipulate people. That is that cutthroat behavior that is in an underdeveloped divine feminine. Perceives others as a threat. Oh my goodness. Within the, when you all know this, no matter what goddess is watching this, but as we grow up with a lot of, I'm sorry, I have like cat hairs all over me, I feel like. I just keep picking it off. But we grow up with girls who are constantly jealous of each other and who are trying to compete with each other and see each other as a threat and see them as they have something that I don't, whether that be a partner or a physical attribute or a talent, a skill, an ability, whatever it is, charisma and energy that they try to emulate. So that is not a divine feminine. Okay, so to fight for what is yours. So to fight for what is yours, to fight is an energy that is opposite of man. It's a state of resistance, and it is going to, so the law of attraction, the way that it works is where your energy goes, no, how does it say? Where your thoughts go, energy flows. So when you fight something, you think about it, you feel about it, you bring more of that into your life. So, very recently I had someone that perceived my stance as love and light. And y'all know I'm against that anyways, but to fight in a way that is defensive, that is cunning, is not going to change anything. Destroying things only creates and empowers that energy of destruction, of resistance. So again, if you have to fight for something, you aren't in the flow of the universe. You aren't in a state of being where you know that whatever passes you by may not be meant for you. And that's the way it goes. Everything happens for a reason. So if you are fighting the natural flow of what's going on, you are not in a state of divine feminine, which is intuition and nurturing and a very flowing, fluid energy. Allows emotions to control you. Whoo! Aren't we in a state of time where everyone's just allowing their emotions to control them? Critical thinking involves a developed emotional being, a developed spiritual being, and a developed intuitive being. That's what critical thinking is. So when we allow our emotions to override our thinking, our intuition, and our thinking, and everything that might provide some type of logic and forethought is gone. If we are riding off of emotions, nothing ends well. You're not going to get to a solution if you can't have the balance of the mind, the heart, the body, the soul, everything that makes you who you are. You have to bring all of that to the situation in order to come to a healthy solution. Cannot see yourself, your actions, or the world clearly. So if you cannot see what you're doing from more perspective than what you are fighting for, there's so many flaws within that sentence. You have to be able to see outside of yourself. You have to take consideration of every aspect in order to come to a conclusion. It's just like in science. I mean, now it's being more developed, but at one time it did not include anything it couldn't prove. Well, you can't really prove very much in the spiritual community, although as a civilization, we know it's always exist. There's something outside of us that we have always exist, that we knew controls the world, the planets, the cosmos, all of these miracles that come into our life. It's beyond us. So that, a good, like I've said in a couple other videos, a good therapist, a good scientist includes all aspects of something in order to come to a conclusion. Now, and to be able to see yourself clearly, you have to be able to deny when you aren't right also. So there is that defensiveness that doesn't allow you to say, you know what, I was wrong. Or, you know what, that makes sense. I get it. And I want to add that to my story. Thank you for telling me that. Being in a place of, it's not about being in a place of love and light. You have to be of love, yes, God energy, but there is a time and place to where you can implement defending something without being defensive, without being biased, without being judgmental and expecting others to meet your needs only. It just doesn't work that way. All right, so the last one for this, cognitive dissonance. I implore that you guys look this up and study it, because it's now a mental illness. So, I know some people in the past who have used cognitive dissonance for people who aren't vegan and things like that. People who do things knowingly that it's bad. So people who have this mental disorder feel huge amounts of discomfort and huge amounts of fear, which cause them to disassociate. They hold two or more different cognitions, thoughts, or beliefs that are psychologically inconsistent with a person's behavior. So the example that I used was one that I've seen myself, and it doesn't make me mad because people can do whatever they want, but it is a good example. A vegan who claims to be an angry vegan and harasses others about their dietary choices, as well as associations with animals, such as, if you loved animals as much as you say you do, then why aren't you vegan? But all the while decides to eat dairy. This is an example that would be really good with cognitive dissonance. You know that it's bad, but still you choose to partake in it. So smoking is a good one. I mean, drugs, heroin, coke, all of those things. We know they're bad for us, and we know that they can be used as escapism, and then eventually we can get sucked in. It's proven, you know, within our society, but we still do it. We still partake in it. And there's tons of other things that you could use for that. I mean, I'll stop there with that. But a healthy divine feminine sees difficult people as an opportunity to learn. So, when you see someone who is poking you, pushing your buttons, is being difficult, refuses to see or agree with you, and wants to defend themselves in a way that is lashing out or whatever it is, but usually it's just like difficult people or difficult situations, you see that as an opportunity to step up, to glow, to shine brighter, to not do what they do. You know, maybe that difficult situation needed to come about in order for you to go, that was really ugly, I'm not going to do that. Or that wasn't very smart, look what it did to their lives, not going to do that. That's not a good role model, I'm not going to do that. That person hurt me and cheated on me, so I know what it feels like, so I'm not going to do it to others. I've been lied to, so I'm not going to do it to others. Those are the things that you can use as a stepping stone, as opposed to holding on to it and letting it make you bitter. Sorry, my kitty. Well, below that, it's unbiased and non-judgmental. So you should not have expectations of other people and the way that they live their lives. You have to suspend your judgment in order to realize that everyone's path is different, and it's from God, universe, creator, whatever you want to call it. It is none of your business. It's God's business. So get off your high horse and realize that you will feel a whole lot better when you learn that you can control this life and this vessel and do better. Wants to step up and help others. So that's another big one. When women don't want to help other women, or, I mean, it can be the divine feminine and a masculine too. It doesn't have to just be women, but when you want to step up, when you see someone else hurting, when you see someone else, it can be something as simple as a woman at the store extremely frustrated because her toddler won't quit crying. You know, that's been crying for hours. How can we step up and help them instead of going, you know, in public? So, when you see someone who's got a piece of broccoli in their tooth, you want to help them and say, hey, you know, a piece of toilet paper on their shoe. If someone's trying to unpack their car and you have the time to help someone and they look like they're struggling, you want to help people. You want to help humanity and other women be on the same level as you, and you don't look at them as a threat. So you don't just bypass that. Focuses on bringing others into their circle and considers what value that person can bring to your life. So again, you don't look at that person as a threat. You look at them as what value they can bring to your life. They're not a threat to you. And you want to create a circle of supportive people in your life. Again, you want to include other people in your life. This doesn't mean you have to have a huge group of friends, because I know that there are introverts and extroverts, but what I'm saying is that we have a circle of people who support us that we're comfortable with. You know, that we can open up to, that we can share to, that we trust with our feelings and our thoughts and our ideas, and we know that they don't perceive us as a threat as well. So when you invite feminine energy that is not of divine feminine, and you hope to give them the benefit of the doubt, I mean, people do change and people do grow, but again, actions speak louder than words. So be really careful about who you allow in your energy, because some people do want to take from you. Listens to her body and is tuned into the sensory body rather than thinking mind. So again, when I'm working with clients, it's It is an energetic healing when they enter my space and the session with me, as well as healing messages from spirit that brings them closer to a place of getting in touch with their intuition. You have to give someone a taste of that and an experience with that in order for them to cognitively understand it. Spiritual stuff can be hard to prove to people if you are in only a logical mind, and you need labels, you need reasons, you need to justify things. That just doesn't really happen within the spiritual community. And to be honest, from some of my recent readings and meditations and things like that, we can't conceive of the cosmos because the cosmos are nothing like planet Earth. Nothing. They don't have the same energy wavelengths. They don't have the same functions as our planet does. They don't have society like we do. They don't have humans who act like we do. They have a whole other world. So their vocabulary doesn't go with our vocabulary. They have a whole different set of customs. So when you try to pinpoint everything in the cosmos, there's just some things that are left as a mystery because we don't need it. And if we knew all the answers, it would make it too easy for us. And unfortunately, and fortunately, pain is a really good motivator for humans to change, to wake up, to get their asses in gear. Okay, is fully aware that her thoughts and feelings manifest her relationships and experiences. Manifestation, the law of attraction. Everything that you have had happen to you was something that you manifested and agreed to before you came here. You know, if you have bad relationships or chaos and drama and arguments or things that happen in someone's life, is because they manifested it in some form or another. You may not be able to understand fully on that. What we do understand as humans is what we can bring into our human mortal lives. So like money and food and opportunity and energy that's very flowing, that keeps things going, as opposed to hitting walls and closed doors and obstacles. We can make those things easier for us. But past that, the law of attraction is actually much more in depth than what we realize. The awareness of an attitude change could make a huge difference in how you access the divine feminine. So this is about accessing a state of being and integrating it into your earthly feminine. So those are the biggest things that I've learned about the divine feminine, and I hope that it kind of clears things up for you. If you guys have any questions, make sure to ask below, so that if I need to clarify anything, or if we just want to kind of bounce ideas back and forth and discuss them, let me know. But that is what my conclusion is on the divine feminine. So I will see you soon.